There we go. All right. Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com. Hopefully you guys can hear me now all right. Still having issues potentially. Man, this is game 1 of the World Series. Wrong time to... We're having periscopes giving us issues.
Yeah.
All right. Are we any sound? Are people getting anything? We'll see. Might need to reboot. Oh, here we go. Okay, we're good now. Well, welcome in. DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com. We appreciate you joining us. Game 1 of the World Series. Dodgers take it 8-3, and it's a big one. I mean, every box that you could possibly want checked in a Game 1, I think, got checked. So we appreciate you joining us. Hey, we are going to have a big giveaway here a little bit later on tonight. So the plan is going to be, we're going to ask for headlines. If you were writing a newspaper article that comes out tomorrow and you had to come up with a headline for tonight's game, be thinking about that. Stay with it. Don't post it yet. We're going to do those later, but we're giving away a Dodgers hat with the World Series patch on it. So it's going to be sweet. And here are the rules. You've got to be subscribed to our YouTube channel, Dodger Blue 1958. So if you're not already, make sure you are over there. Whoever wins is going to have to send us proof, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, that you are subscribed. So keep that in mind. But let's dive into this one, Daniel. I mean, like I said, this kind of checks every box that the Dodgers are looking for. I know as somebody who predicted a sweep and who predicted Clayton Kershaw as the World Series MVP, I'm feeling pretty good. Your immediate reactions to everything that took place tonight?
I mean, it was just a great overall night for the Dodgers. They were able to get to Glass now. They didn't in the first couple innings, but they were working pitches. His command was off. He walked 6 guys, which is a career high. So credit to the Dodgers hitters for not doing too much chasing and getting his pitch count up. He probably should have been out of there earlier than he was. But I mean, when you score 8 runs, you're going to win most nights. And when Kershaw is as good as he was tonight, you're going to win most nights. And when you put them both together, it's almost a foregone conclusion. So just one little hiccup from the bullpen, but other than that, it was a pretty perfect night.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. I'm sure there's lots of conversation about the decision to pull Clayton Kershaw with as few pitches as he had made to that point in the game. But his final line, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned run. It's pretty fascinating when you think about 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk. He gave up a hit and a walk right at the beginning of the game. So you take out basically before he had, I think he had maybe 1 out with 2 runners on. You get rid of those 2 guys. He allowed only 1 base runner for the next 5. And really, he didn't even allow a base runner because that hit was a home run. So pretty impressive from Clayton Kershaw. And for a guy who's got this narrative, and to be fair, as Andy McCullough told me yesterday, it's hard to call it really a narrative when his numbers are what they are. For a guy who has struggled to the degree that he has struggled, I mean, this is about as good as it gets. Some numbers that I was able to find on Kershaw's night, typically he throws 40% sliders. That was up to 45%. 7 of his strikeouts came on the slider. He finished with 8 strikeouts on the night. He only allowed 5 hard hit balls, which is pretty good. Not the best, but it's pretty good. But here was the part that was really amazing about Kershaw tonight. On the season, he averaged 27.7% whiff rate. Basically, the number of times a person swings and misses divided by the number of times a person swings. Tonight, that rate was 50%. 50% of the times the Rays swung at a Clayton Kershaw pitch, they missed. 50% is an absolutely astonishing number. He looked rough in the first inning, but he seemed to settle down. What did it seem like to you, Daniel? Was it just the slider? What changed from the first inning to the innings 2 through 6?
Yeah, he wasn't commanding his slider in that first inning. We saw him basically just throwing it into the ground a lot. So he got command of that pitch, which you said he threw it a lot tonight. So getting that pitch was huge. They were just kind of swinging through that all night. And let's be honest here, this Rays lineup isn't exactly world beaters.
Yeah.
I'd put them behind the Padres and the Braves for as far as difficult lineups that Kershaw's faced this postseason. So that obviously had something to do with it as well. But I mean, when he's able to command his fastball and his slider, and he could obviously mix in his Hall of Fame curveball in there as well, that's tough to hit. And he was efficient tonight too. He only 78 pitches in 6 innings. I sent out a tweet. Maybe now they could, if they want to, bring him back at Game 4 on short rest. They probably won't have to. Like, we'll see where they're at.
Easy, Daniel. Easy, Daniel.
I mean, hey, I'm confident, and I'm feeling good right now. But I think Kershaw just did what he does tonight. It wasn't anything crazy. It's not like he was asked to do too much.
Yeah.
Just get through 6 innings, and he did it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just to be able to rebound. I mean, like I said, to start the way that he started, he gives up a single, he issues a walk. Didn't look like he had total control of the strike zone. It was kind of one of those. I mean, I honestly. I was watching the first inning. The turning point for me was the third out. Ball gets grounded back to Kershaw. He goes to reach in his glove, and the ball pops, and he has to double clutch, grab the ball, grip it, and rip it over to first. For me, I tweeted, I was like, if your breath didn't disappear in that moment, then you're not a Dodger fan, because all of us saw that happening, and the same thought went through our mind, which is, oh crap, I can't believe this is about to happen. Like, really, this is how it's going to play out. But I honestly felt like it was one of those bizarre moments where I imagine for Kershaw, he was like, okay, things are kind of going my way tonight. Like, that was a play that it seems like in every other postseason appearance I've ever made, that play gets away from me. Either the ball pops out and I don't grip it, or I throw it into left field or right field, or whatever. But for him to be able to double clutch, grab it, and throw a strike to first base to get out of a jam, to me, I wonder if that just settled him down. Like, all right, I made a couple mistakes, but things kind of settled. I got lucky a little bit. And then from there, the bats just took over. I think the headline offensively, probably Mookie Betts, right? A guy who has struggled, hasn't really hit the ball super well all postseason. He gets his first home run. He goes 2 for 4 with a single, a walk, a home run, 2 stolen bases, which are huge. So I think we get free tacos from Taco Bell or something. So shout out to Mookie for that.
Second time he's done that. He did that in 2018 too. He stole the first base.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's a nickname somewhere in there for him.
Yeah, the man likes feeding the people.
Yeah, hey. But I mean, we talked about this in the last series too, where it was sort of, there were games where it seemed like the guys you needed to get going got going. Who are the 3 guys that probably struggled the most of all Dodger hitters last series? Mookie Betts, Max Muncy. Max Muncy had good numbers because of his on-base percentage, but I mean, he was swinging the bat terribly. And Chris Taylor. All 3 guys have 2 hits today. All 3 have walks as well. So all 3 of them reached 3 times. Muncy has 2 RBIs to go with it. Cody Bellinger, a guy you're worried about the shoulder. He wasn't great aside from obviously the unbelievable home run in Game 7. Bellinger hits a home run. Corey Seager, no hits for him, but he does walk 3 times. The team walked 7 times. So from an offensive perspective, for a team that I don't know how much confidence anybody really has with the offense going into a postseason game, it was kind of not perfect. I mean, that 11-run first inning is as good as it gets, but it's like, this didn't feel like too much to ask. The 11-run inning, you were like, oh, no way they could repeat this. This kind of felt like, yeah, we could do this 3 more times. No problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and they just kind of took what was given to them, right? Like, Glasnow obviously throws very hard, so it's not like you have to go up there taking these huge hacks trying to hit the ball over the fence. Like, you let him provide the power, and they took their walks. They got his pitch count up early. We could maybe at some point get into Kevin Cash's decision to just kind of leave him out there to dry. I thought Glasnow was done after 4 innings, but they sent him back out there for the 5th to go a 3rd time through the lineup, and the Dodgers made him pay for that. So that 5th inning was huge. That's when they broke it open there. So that's what we expect out of this offense. Obviously, we're not going to get it every night. They're facing some really good pitchers, but they sure as heck made it look easy tonight.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you about that in just a sec. For those just joining us, again, sorry Periscope's giving us trouble, so thanks to those of you who have found us on YouTube and Facebook. Just a reminder, we are going to give away a hat here in just a little bit, a Dodgers World Series hat. Basically, the rules are we're going to do best headline. So write a headline for the game recap for this. Whoever's got the best one, we're going to have a hat sent your way. The only rule is you've got to be following us either on Facebook or on Twitter, and you've got to be subscribed and be able to send us a screenshot proving it to our YouTube channel at Dodger Blue 1958. So if you haven't already, subscribe over there and stay tuned, because in just a little bit, we're going to do that competition. But I do want to go to that decision that you mentioned that Kevin Cash made, Daniel. The Rays are a team that have actually been crushed for taking their pitchers out too early in the postseason of late. Walk me through your reaction to the decision to send him back out there.
Yeah. To me, when he got out of the 4th inning, He was able to minimize the damage through four. I think he just gave up the 2 runs on Cody's homer, but he was at 86 pitches through four, a lot of walks, a lot of high stress pitches. So for me, I thought it was a no-brainer that he was done just because of what you just said, that the Rays are probably more aggressive with their bullpen than any team in baseball. But for some reason, they sent him out there for the fifth inning with the top of the order coming back out for a third time, and he starts that inning by walking two of the first three guys. So at that point, I was like, all right, he's definitely done now. Like, we got a lefty and Muncy coming up. They had a lefty warming up, but nope, he wasn't done there. They still left him in, and what did Muncy do? I forgot.
This is in the fifth inning. Yeah, we've got so Mookie walks, Seager walks, Turner strikes out strikes out swinging. There's a double steal. Muncy reaches on a fielder's choice.
That's right.
The ground ball to the first baseman that Mookie scores on. So Corey Seager goes to third. Then Will Smith, RBI single. Cody Bellinger, pop out. Chris Taylor, RBI single. Kike Hernandez, RBI single. Austin Barnes, pop out. So, I mean, the whole batted through the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I thought when it got to Muncy, he would be done for sure, just with the lefty warming up and then like two lefties coming up with Muncy and Bellinger. But they stuck with him then even, and obviously he would have gotten Muncy out if not for Mookie's just incredible base running to take home even when the infield is drawn in. So credit to Mookie for that one. And then Smith gets the hit, and that was it for Glasnow. So I mean, while he did stay in longer than he should have, credit to him for battling, but it was pretty clear from the beginning he didn't have his best stuff tonight. I don't know whether it was, nerves or what it was, but he was kind of all over the place. The Dodgers were bailing him out in the first couple innings. So it's good to see they finally got to him, and then they continued pouring it on against the bullpen, which is a good sign as well.
Yeah, so let's get to Kershaw, because I think a lot of people, Dave Roberts is perpetually under a microscope, Clayton Kershaw perpetually under a microscope, and now you have these two worlds colliding in one decision. So Clayton Kershaw, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. As I said, 2 of those 3 base runners were in the first inning. The third was a home run. He had only made, what was it? It was less than 80 pitches, I believe.
78.
78, you say?
Yeah.
So 78 pitches that Kershaw had made, 53 of them for strikes, 78 total pitches. And they decide to pull him prior to the 7th inning. It's an 8-1 game, I believe, at that point. He's looking good. He's cruising. He had retired a ton of batters in a row. The Dodgers decide with 9 outs to go that they're going to go to their bullpen. Not only that, they're going to go to Dylan Floro, who, by all accounts, is probably the reliever outside of Alex Wood that they trust the least, based on he was left off the first round postseason roster. So that's where I'm making that. Well, what was your immediate reaction? Because the context here is that Clayton Kershaw has perpetually gotten left in base playoff games far too long. The flip side is usually it's the 6th inning that gives him trouble, although it sometimes has been the 7th. So 8-1 game, you need 9 outs, you have a day off after game 2, not playing the results. Just before anything happens that happens next, your reaction to that decision.
Yeah, to me, I didn't have a problem either way. Me personally, I would have sent him back out there. He was cruising, 78 pitches. Other than the home run, he wasn't getting into trouble, right? It was 1, 2, 3 innings after the first, of course. But I mean, I would have sent him back out, but I also didn't have. It was an 8-1 game. He just dealt with back spasms. You don't want to, get him up near 100 pitches. So 78 was a good number, and obviously you trust your bullpen to protect an 8-1 lead, even if you're not sending your best guys out there. And I mean, they went with Floro, who wouldn't have been my first choice, but again, it was an 8-1 game, so they were able to, weather the storm and get out of it with no issues. But I didn't have a problem either way. To me, I think it's silly for people to be complaining and going for Dave Roberts' head, which that was happening during that inning when Dylan Floro was getting rocked. So you can't say in his last start that they stuck with Kershaw too long and then turn around in this one and say they took him out too early, right? You want to be proactive and get ahead of it and take him out before, he has the implosion. So I didn't have a problem either way. Luckily, it was an 8-1 game, so there was no drama to be had because of it. Maybe if it was closer, then, people could be more mad. But in an 8-1 game, it's not a big deal. We got, Floro, Victor Gonzalez, Pedro Baez, and Joe Kelly some work. So we didn't even use any of our, top, high leverage guys.
Yeah, so the decision is they pull Kershaw, they bring in Floro. Floro struggles. There's a catch maybe Cody should make, maybe not. Who really cares? It's like the game that it's in. They bring in Victor Gonzalez. The announcers are perpetually mentioning, they're like, how many warm-ups does this guy get? Like 6 throws maybe in the bullpen. I give Victor Gonzalez a bit of a break based on what John Smoltz was saying. He probably got a little bit of a raw deal getting thrown in there. I mean, everything coming off bats for both these guys. The Dodgers gave up 4 hard hit balls in that inning alone. Kershaw had given up 5 all game. But Gonzalez gets out of it. I mean, if you wanted any proof that things were breaking the Dodgers' way today, how about a 106-mile-an-hour line drive that hits Victor Gonzalez in the glove?
Right.
Victor Gonzalez can't buy a break. Everything's getting roped off of him, and then that one comes right back to him, gets the double play. Pedro Baez comes in. You said, hey, maybe not any of their high leverage. I said last night, I think Pedro Baez might be their best relief pitcher last night in the series, and, he didn't do anything to disprove that. Just nasty, weak contact. The changeup is absolutely filthy.
Changeup is working right now.
And then Joe Kelly, a guy that I'm not a huge fan of, but he comes in and guess what? He throws strikes. Maybe he gives up almost a home run. We'll give him the Blake Trinan benefit of the doubt. Cody probably robs the home run. Kelly does the best part and points to his shoulder. So I love that. But Joe Kelly looked pretty good. So from top to bottom, this is about as good of a performance as I think you could have hoped for the Dodgers. The bats get going, especially the bats you wanted. You win comfortably. You don't stress out the bullpen. And yet, again, just like you get some bats going, you get Joe Kelly some work, and he looks pretty good. And maybe you feel a little bit better about using him later in the series. But let me ask you one more thing on Kershaw, because you kind of hinted at this. 78 pitches, game 1. They play tomorrow, game 2. They have an off day. Then they play game 3. One of the big questions for the Dodgers is what they're going to do in games 2 and game 4. At 78 pitches, Kershaw on game 4 would be coming back 1 day short rest. So he would be on his 4th day instead of his 5th day, which then theoretically would set him up to be able to pitch game 7 on 1 day short rest as well. Is that part of the thinking here for the Dodgers? Is that part of the, hey, 8-1, pull him in? Or is it strictly, hey, he had back spasms, he's penciled into game 5, and we're not thinking too much? Because even game 5, you probably could have him out of the bullpen in game 7 and feel as good as you could possibly feel about Kershaw coming out of the bullpen. But, with as much question marks as they have in games 2 and 4, do you save him for 4? The flip side is Urias, May, and Gonsolin all got rested tonight. So you've got 3 of them, 1 or 2 tomorrow and 1 for game 4. How do you map that out going forward?
Yeah, this is all just speculation on my part, of
Totally.
course, but I have to imagine that played some sort of factor. Like, hey, it's 8-1. We got this one, in the balance. This is taken care of. Our bullpen's got this. Why would we put extra stress on Clayton just because, hey, maybe, who knows? Maybe you lose the next 2 and then game 4 becomes super important, right? And then at that point, if you use May and Gonsolin and those guys in game 2, maybe Julio as well, then, it's like, all right, what are we doing? Another bullpen game here? So to me, I guess it depends on what their plan is with Julio. If they don't pitch, if they could get by tomorrow's game without pitching Julio, then he's the obvious game 4 starter, and you don't need to move up Kershaw. But if they want to go with Julio tomorrow, maybe he throws 3 innings tomorrow, maybe May throws 2, Gonsolin throws 2, something like that, then it's definitely a possibility. I don't think you need to bring back Kershaw on short rest if you're, up 3-0 or up 2-1. Maybe if you lose the next 2, I would maybe consider it. But it also has to do with how he's feeling and his health, obviously. You're not going to push him if his back's sore a little bit. So I think the next couple games will determine ultimately what they decide to do. But I feel like the option is now there because he only threw 78 pitches tonight.
Yeah, and what would the series have to be for you to push things forward in game 4? Are we talking if the Dodgers would need to lose the next 2? Because even then, you're only down 1. But if they lose the next 2, are you pushing things, pressing on the gas pedal a little bit?
To me, it depends how the young guys look tomorrow, right? If May and Gonsolin and Julio all come out and get rocked tomorrow or something, which I don't think will happen, but it's possible. Then maybe it's like, all right, we only got a couple games left here. Let's just go to our best guys as many times as possible to get this done with. So that would be the only thing for me is if they lose the next 2 and look really bad doing it.
Yeah.
But for me, I probably wouldn't do it at all. We've seen what happens when you try to, put too much pressure on Clayton Kershaw. they don't need a he doesn't need to carry this team on his back like he used to have to, right?
Yeah.
Like it was pretty much a foregone conclusion in those early years that he was pitching on 3 days rest just because they didn't have more starters. To me, they have enough, guys to get through 7 games here with Kershaw only pitching 2 instead of 3. So I would go with him in Game 5 regardless.
Yeah.
Unless they get their butts kicked tomorrow and in Game 3, and then you're feeling super desperate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get to a couple comments and questions we've been getting. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, comment, let us know where you're at, questions you might have. Swagmaster Dank. So how about that for a YouTube name? Swagmaster Dank. He says, yeah, I wouldn't push it. Be as safe with Kershaw as you can. We have so much starting pitching with Urias, May, and Gonsolin. So I think we're kind of on the same page there. Even if you're down 2-1, I mean, that's not like danger. That's not panic zone. Because if you go down 2-1, but you know that you're going to come back with Kershaw and then Buehler, I don't know. You probably feel pretty good about that. This is a great comment, I thought, from Augustine Choi. He says, I love how Dave Roberts went with his last relievers so the Rays couldn't get a feel of how the Dodgers relievers were going to pitch them. I mean, that's definitely interesting. Baez, again, I think is one of the better ones. He was facing the top of the lineup in the 8th, probably wanted to just put out any fire that might have been coming. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the less opportunities you give the Rays to see your best relievers, the better. I think that's an interesting one. And this is Grayson asked this question. Are we worried about Bellinger's shoulder injury being more than what he's making it out to be? I mean, for me, he hits a home run. So there's not really much more he could have done. I remember they said on the broadcast, hey, that's his lead arm in his swing. And so originally when he did it, John Smoltz was saying, that's what I'd be worried about is his swing. Can he generate power? Well, clearly the power's there. And again, it's going to hurt less and less and less as this thing goes on. So today would have been the worst shape his shoulder's going to be, barring him diving for a ball or something like that. So I'm not worried at all about Bellinger. Are you?
Yeah, no, I'm not worried at all. I think maybe it might have affected him on that one ball that he dropped just because he didn't really want to run shoulder first into the wall. But, I mean, if that's the only issue, that's totally fine with me. Like, stay healthy. He's swinging the bat well now. He took a lot of good at-bats tonight. Obviously, he hit the homer, so the shoulder doesn't seem to be affecting the swing. So, yeah, I got no problems. He looks good out there as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Adam asks, how do you feel about the Rays hitters being cold tonight? I mean, I'll throw this out there. If you're the Rays, Clayton Kershaw was the guy that you needed to beat up on. The Rays are better against lefties, and they're better against breaking stuff. So if this was the lefty that's throwing breaking stuff. I mean, when Buehler comes out, he is throwing fastballs. The Rays are one of the worst fastball hitting teams. When May comes out, he is throwing fastballs. When Gonsolin is coming out, he's throwing when Urias comes out, he's throwing fastballs. So you are probably going to see as few fastballs as ever tonight, and they couldn't do anything with it. So as a Dodger fan, I mean, if that's to me the peak, is that A, Kershaw looked great, which makes you feel good about his next start, and B, on paper, this was actually the pitcher that the Rays probably match up the best with compared to everybody else.
Yeah. The Rays lineup has never been their strong suit. Like, they're not going to be a team that comes out and scores 8-9 runs a game and just, hits to win. They're a team that has to win based off pitching and defense. Yeah. So, I mean, they're obviously probably going to score more than they did tonight. They only scored like 2 or 3 runs, but I mean, this isn't exactly, an all-star lineup. Like, I feel like the Braves and Padres both had lineups that scared me a lot more than this Rays team does.
Yeah, and again, the Rays, like, that's the thing with facing a team with great pitchers. When you face a team with a great lineup, you wake up tomorrow and the same guy's still there, right? Like, you still have to face Freddie Freeman tomorrow. With the Rays, you've gotten their best pitcher already out of the way. Like, you're not seeing him for at least 3 more days, potentially 4. So that's the beauty. Now, it's not to say they don't have another great pitcher going to Game 2 and Game 3, because they've got a couple more good ones. But the lineup is the same, and the lineup doesn't scare you. And as I said, they were like 6th in baseball in OPS against lefties and league average against righties. So we'll see what happens. Donald Johnson says, you guys, do you think it's going 7 games? I mean, last night I predicted a sweep. That was mostly because I predicted a sweep in the NLCS and the Dodgers ended up winning, so I didn't really want to mess with anything. But I don't think either of us, well, you said 6 games, so neither of us thought 7 to begin.
I said 6.
And I mean, after tonight, neither one of us is making our prediction longer, that's for sure.
No, yeah, I might move mine to 5 after tonight. But yeah, I mean, it could go 7. It certainly can.
Yeah.
Like, this is baseball. The Rays are a really good team, so anything could happen. But it feels like once the Dodgers got down 3-1 to the Braves, they kind of like flipped a
Yep.
switch, and they've just been playing great baseball ever since. So hopefully that could just continue for a few more games here.
Yeah, I mean that's what I said. That was my whole take. Is like I think the Dodgers are in as good a mentality and a level of urgency as possible, and I think that showed. I mean, Game 1 has been a historically bad game for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Now they're in the same like hotel, they're in the same stadium, so you're kind of like, what the heck would be different? Well, the team on the other side, for the Dodgers to come out and put some stuff together right off the bat, get through those middle innings. I mean, there wasn't much in the beginning, but there was still some traffic. I mean, it wasn't nothing. They walked in the first inning, so we'll definitely see how this plays out. A couple of people in the comments mentioning the Rays' best hitter, Rosarena. Again, I'm probably butchering that, so I apologize to him if I am. But
Right.
okay, good. Rosarena. But yeah, I mean, like he didn't do a whole lot tonight, and that's the guy that carried them. The rest of their best hitters, Lau, guys like that, have been brutal all World Series or all postseason and didn't do much better. So we'll see. John Ryans, how are we feeling about Game 2? I mean, that's the big question. So we'll do this. We'll talk about Game 2, and then we'll do the competition to get rid of a hat here. So just a reminder, if you're just joining us, we're going to give away a hat, an official World Series patch, Dodgers hat, to the person who can come up with the best headline. So save them. We're going to do them in a minute. But Game 2, they rest all their arms. The Dodgers, I believe, have not named a starter for Game 2.
I've been keeping my eye out, but they haven't yet. No.
Obviously, the Rays have their second best pitcher going, so it'll be a tough matchup on that front. But what do you expect? We don't have to predict pitchers, but how are you feeling about Game 2 after tonight?
I mean, it's hard to feel anything but good after what we saw tonight, right? I mean, the Rays got, like you said, another good pitcher in Blake Snell, but he's also a guy that can get a bit erratic at times. So look for them again to work counts and draw some walks. We don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers, but what we do know is that they got a fully rested bullpen pretty much.
Yeah.
Like most guys haven't pitched since Game 7 or Game 6 of last series. A couple guys pitched tonight, but no one threw too many pitches. So we got a full bullpen to work with. We got our young starters, May and Gonsolin will probably be ready. Julio could potentially give them a few innings. So, I mean, I'm feeling good about where the Dodgers are at right now. They just got to come out tomorrow and do exactly what they did tonight.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, looking at Snell's game log, he has never thrown 6 innings at any point all season. So 4 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, 5.2. Those are the 4 starts that he made in the postseason. His best start was against the Blue Jays. He got lit up by the Yankees, 4 runs on 5 innings. Came back the next game, 1 run against the Astros, and then 2 runs against the Astros. But as you said, walks. He's walked 10 batters in 4 starts in the postseason. He has been subject to the home run ball as well, 4 home runs. So definitely interesting there. But, I mean, the fascinating thing about the Dodgers is it's gotten to a point where how I feel about the Dodgers and whether or not they win tomorrow has almost nothing to do with who they're playing. It has everything to do with how do I feel about our lineup. If our bats are dialed in, we could be facing just about anybody. Blake Snell's one of the best pitchers in baseball. He's not to a level where I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to shut the Dodgers down. This isn't Jacob deGrom or Noah Syndergaard or, some like Garrett Cole over there. Like he's a really good pitcher, but he's not to the point that anything scares me. It's if Mookie Betts is hitting, he's going to hit anybody. If Seager's hitting, if Turner's hitting, if Bellinger's hitting, if Muncy's hitting, if Taylor's hitting, like these guys are going to hit anybody. And it doesn't really matter who. So it will be really interesting. But, I mean, as long as the Dodger bats are performing, they seem urgent, and yet they seem loose, I have no reason to be worried about Game 2. That's me personally.
Yeah, I agree. And just real quick, as far as the lineup goes, I think since it's a lefty on the mound, we'll probably see Kike at second base, I'd have to imagine. Chris Taylor in left and A.J. Pollock at DH probably.
Yeah, probably something like that. Kike, obviously a much better defender. They seem to like Taylor more in left field. So I think that's right. I mean, Pollock's the best hitter they've got against lefties in this regular season. So I would expect all 3. And obviously Kike's earned his spot. Chris Taylor played well tonight and seemed to be an everyday guy. And, they're not going to put Rios or Jock. So I think that is a good point, some change. And obviously the Rays, like we said, they mix up their lineup lefty-righty. So I would guess that the announced starter is either May or Gonsolin. That's just a prediction from me. How much we see, but I think the Dodgers are thinking, hey, if they could get 6 innings out of 2 guys to start the game, then they'd feel pretty good from there. So let's get to the competition. Let's get to the headline. So again, one more time, the rules. Write me a headline, submit it in the chat for what you would make the headline for a story tomorrow about this game. We get bonus points for humor, bonus points for making Daniel laugh. And whoever it is, all you've got to do is you've got to follow us you got to be subscribed on YouTube, Dodger Blue 1958, be able to send us a screenshot, and then follow us either on Facebook or on Twitter, so that way we could just get some contact information, find a way to get you the hat. So send us your headline. We'll start reading some of these as they come across, and we'll go from there. Let's see.
Make me laugh.
Make me laugh. We got Victor Gonzalez, more like Speedy Gonzalez with those speedy reflexes. That's nice. It wasn't necessarily the big moment of the game. So belly, no shoulder bomb. We've got belly bomb breaks glass. Sparks Dodgers offense. I like that. Glass now. Belly bomb breaks glass. Sparks Dodgers offense. That's creative. Mookie Betts makes America fat again. I'm not entirely sure what we're doing there, but
the taco. You got.
Oh, there you go. That's nice. Johnny Russell. Shout out to you. Kershaw finally dominant in World Series, and you can bets on free tacos. Clayton, Mookie, and Bellinger. Oh my. Third time's the charm. Kershaw dominates. Mookie Betts solves world hunger. One ding at a time, and it didn't cost us a dime. In case of pitching duel, break glass now. Dodger puts runs on off. Put runs on often. I like that one. We got some creativity. I got to give it to you. This is the best round of headlines we've ever had. Kershaw exercised. That's nice. Kershaw exercised. Dodgers are winning against the Rays. I'm not totally sure what's going on there. Mookie Monster, 5 tools on display. We've got a Game 2 headline submission. Somebody's predicting the Game 2 headline. Cursed no more with a K. Kershaw dominates in Game 1. Looky, a home run from Mookie. I like that one. That's cool.
I like that one.
This one's for Steve Irwin. That's nice. Getting back at the Rays. I kind of like that. That's deep cuts right there, but I appreciate it. Somebody, I'm not sure this is a headline. Big Papi ate all the tacos in Boston. LOL. Not sure that's a headline submission, but we like that one. I like the vibe we're getting. I wonder if anybody's submitting any of these on Twitter. Let's see. I had one. The Bets Man for the Job was one that got submitted to me on Twitter as well. So any of those jump out to y'all? Let me reread some of these again. These are pretty good. Okay.
The break glass one.
Belly bomb breaks glass. Sparks Dodgers offense. Kershaw finally dominant in World Series, and you can bets on free tacos. Mookie Betts makes America fat again. Clayton, Mookie, Bellinger, oh my. Third time's a charm. Kershaw dominates, and Mookie Betts solves world hunger. One ding at a time, and it didn't cost us a dime. In case of pitching duel, break glass now. Dodger put runs on often. Kershaw exercised. Let's see. Cursed no more. Kershaw dominates in Game 1. Looky, a home run from Mookie. Mookie monsters will make fans taco monsters. Joe Kelly. That's the headline. So what do you got? You got like one of those you like, Daniel?
That first break glass or whatever.
Belly bomb breaks glass. Sparks Dodger offense.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, we'll go with that. Swagmaster Dank. Shout out to you. Swagmaster Dank.
Yeah, Swagmaster Dank.
So Swagmaster Dank, send us a message either on Facebook or on Twitter. And you can either send it to Dodger Blue 1958 or you can send it to Daniel or me if you're on Twitter. On Facebook, just find Dodger Blue 1958. Send us a message with a screenshot of Swagmaster Dank following YouTube, and we'll get you a hat. They're sweet hats. We tweeted them out earlier. And we're going to be giving out one after every game so far this series. So stay tuned each night, and we'll have another one to go. But yeah, so let's as we move on from that, we'll kind of close things out with a look ahead. Daniel, as you reflect on this game, what would you say is your biggest takeaway looking forward? What has anything changed about the Dodgers in the last 24 hours because of what you just saw?
Nothing in the last 24 hours. I'd say the turnaround really started in Game 5 of that Braves series, and they've just kind of continued it. But for me, it's all about the bats. Like, if the Dodgers are going to continue to hit this well, I don't see how they lose this series, especially when we talk about, like, the Rays lineup. They're not built to, score 8 runs a night. So if they could continue swinging the bats, like this, then it could be a short series. I expect the pitching to do well. So to me, it all comes down to the bats.
Yeah, I just have this sense that like it usually takes the Dodgers a couple games to settle into a series. And I just felt like tonight did not feel like a team settling into a series. This felt like a team that felt like they were playing at a home ballpark, a ballpark they're used to, a routine they're used to. Everything is normal for the Dodgers. I think that's a huge advantage. And I mean, if the Dodgers are going to score 6 runs every game this series, they're not going to lose 4 times. Like, it's just not going to happen. They're definitely not going to lose 4 times in 6 days, and they're definitely not going to lose with 4 Kershaw and Buehler starts from here on out. So, or 3, I should say, at the very least. So I like where they're at. And I mean, you could say with the bats that they didn't even this wasn't even maximized. This wasn't even it's not even like they squeezed every drop out of it, the number of base runners they had. So to me, that's the big one. I just think the bats look good. Kershaw looks good. And that was the key to the series. If Clayton Kershaw could outpitch Glasnow in the 2 appearances he had, then I thought that was the deal. And I said it. I think this is the year that Kershaw busts the narrative. I think this is the year that Kershaw takes the Dodgers to win the World Series. Kershaw wins the World Series MVP. If he puts out another performance like he did tonight, I don't see how he doesn't. So I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but that's how I feel. So let's end with some predictions. You and I are terrible when it comes to predicting scores. But here we are. We'll do it again. Game 2, we don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers. I don't think either of us really feels like it matters all that much. But what are you thinking score-wise for game 2?
I'm going to go with 6-4 Dodgers. I think it's a little closer, but still, I still think I expect the offense to do their part. A bullpen game, maybe the Rays scratch, a few runs across. So I'm going 6-4. Dodgers go up 2-0.
I'm going 7-1. I think the bats continue, and I just think the pitching's gonna wear these guys down. I think even if it's a bullpen game, I think the Dodgers have all their best relievers. They've got a day off the following day, so they don't have to worry about literally anything. So I think they can get 4 or 5 out of whoever the 2 guys they get at the top. And then think you start seeing Gratterall, you see Jansen, you see Trinan, and who knows? I mean, some of those guys, they might throw out there for 2 innings. Baez could be back. Gonzalez could be back. McGee could be out there. Like, I just think the Dodgers have all the arms ready. So I'm going 8-1, or what would I say, 7-1? 7-1 Dodgers. Michael Nelson agrees with you. He's got 6-4. Grayson's got 4-0. Any other score predictions, throw those in the chat. But I've got 7-1. Daniel's got 6-4. We both have the Dodgers winning. Would you amend your 6-game prediction, Daniel? Would that change anything for you? You want to lower that down to 5 tonight?
Yeah, I'm lowering it to 5. If we win tomorrow, I might have to get on the sweep
train
like you.
We're all you know what? We're all here because we want to see the broom. We want to see the 1800s broom that you can't find anywhere else. So
I got it waiting in my closet. He wants to come back out. So hopefully we'll get to bring him back out in a few days here.
Okay, we got Taki Cardia's got Dodgers 3-1. Timothy Branson's got Dodgers 5-2. 5-0 from Donald Johnson. Let's see what else we got. Lots of people just fired up. Lots of all caps in the chat, which I appreciate. I mean, what's not to be excited about? I joked. I mean, like 8-3, I said this is like a manageable level of stress. I mean, a 5-run lead with 6 outs to go. I'm like, okay, this is like allowable. So I can't even imagine what this is going to be like when it's like a 1-run game or the Dodgers are losing. Mizuki Williamson says 7-1. John Nason says 6-2. Kevin Herrera 1-0. He's going 1-0 in the bullpen game. That would be, I don't think my heart can handle that. Joaquin Acosta's got 6-2. Perfect game for the Dodgers bullpen, which would be impressive if it really is a bullpen game. Dodgers 7-1. Johnny Russell, he's agreeing with me. Ferg HD 5-3. Vince Erickson 6-1. Let's see what else we got. Timothy says, I have tickets to game 5. Please don't sweep. Sorry, Timothy. I'm rooting against you. I am absolutely rooting for a sweep. And you can frame that ticket and just remind yourself constantly of the time the Dodgers swept. 5-2, Roger Rosales. 5-2 for Nax. Lots of Dodger fans confident. There's no reason not to be, right? There's nothing we saw tonight that would make us worried. So, well, we appreciate you guys joining us. If you missed it, we do have a World Series preview. I sat down with Annie McCullough. Both of those are on YouTube. Neither one of those is obsolete yet. It's only 1 game into the World Series. So check those out. Daniel and I will be back tomorrow, another 5 o'clock first pitch for the Dodgers. TBD pitching for the Dodgers. Blake Snell pitching for the Rays. But game 2 of the World Series tomorrow before an off day. We'll be here giving away hats every night, so be sure to join us. Invite your friends. We love having the crowd. We appreciate you, as always. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we will see you tomorrow.